Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. And here we have Storm versus Death and Taxes. This was filmed as part of our Wednesday night Legacy series over at Scholars Games in Brockton, Massachusetts. And Death and Taxes, a very difficult matchup in terms of predicting how it's going to go. There are times where the hate from Death and Taxes is simply not enough, and there are other times where they keep you just out of reach of killing them the whole time until you finally succumb to beats from bears like Thalia, Mirren Crusader, Flicker Wisp, Stoneforge Mystic, and Friends. And here we see a really weak hand here. Recruiter of the Guard, Swords to Plowshares, and 2 Rishadan ports. So that is an extremely weak hand versus Storm. The top of the deck going to be extremely important to Matt. Going to need to draw a card like Thalia. Here's Preordain. He's not going to have a meaningful turn 1 unless he draws it right off the top, a card like Aether Vial or Mother of Runes, but neither of those really matter that much in this matchup, game 1. Planes go for Matt. And Recruiter of the Guard. Looks like a Cabal Therapy is in hand. Recruiter could get hit at any time here. Probably best to just keep pushing. Actually just going to take it now. So Sword of Fire and Ice. That threatens to turn any one of these creatures that Matt might draw into a significant threat. Sword of Fire and Ice is going to do additional 4 damage per turn and draw a card. Matt can land a creature and the sword, but that is a long way to go. Rishadan ports looking at just a stream of lands here. There's Mother of Runes. Ooh, and Thalia. One of the missing cards there from hand was Thalia. And she is excellent here, game 1. That is a real issue. Gonna need to spend an extra mana on every single spell leading up to whatever storm finisher it is, either Tendrils or Empty. And Empty is going to need to be pretty big. You got around both Mother of Runes and Thalia. You're going to lose 2 tokens per turn. Definitely not as bad as if Umezawa's Jite were involved. And Lion's Eye Diamond getting cast here, passing the turn. Matt deciding to use that 4 mana to attack the mana base instead of getting out the sword. Going to try and hold down this fort for 4 more turns. And Infernal Tutor or a Dark Ritual, so could potentially have quite a turn coming up. Reign of Filth. Another Dark Ritual. Or a pair of Dark Rituals, I should say. Storm is 3/4 black. All of this under a sphere. And there's Ad Nauseam. Got a question if this was the optimal line. Could have Ad Nauseamed during the upkeep in response. And then all of the lands would have been able to sack to the Reign of Filth. see if that 1 mana ends up mattering. So we're at 5 already. There's Infernal Tutor plus LED. Here could cast the LED. Sort of Fire and Ice, a huge problem. Goblins, of course, are going to be red and easily gotten past with that sword. Needs to be a very large tendrils. A very large empty, I should say. The storm's only 4. So currently could make 14 goblins. Fetching here. Now a 2-turn clock. So if we make goblins here, going to get hit. Even if we swing, we crack back. That fetch is another potential huge mistake. Going to be dead on board to that fetch. So Infernal Tutor here. Not going to be able to grab Past in Flames. And just emptying for what I believe was 14 goblins. One black mana floating. Then can hit the Sword of Fire and Ice. Oh, and Flicker Wisp. Flicker Wisp actually makes it all for naught. Able to swing with those goblin tokens just one time before the Flicker Wisp and Thalia can push through for lethal. So the result would have been the same with better play. Due to that Flicker Wisp being able to push through that extra damage in the air. There, Thalia off the top with a hand that was really lackluster. That's exactly the type of card that Matt needed there in game 1. He got it, and Storm was unable to answer. Very close, but ultimately not good enough. One of the things I do think is so strong about Death and Taxes is the mana base doesn't hurt you. Those fetches, things like Force of Will, just all the little things, Thoughtseize, things that decks do that harm themselves, you know, cards like Ataxian Probe. There's kind of a built-in training wheels that happen when you're playing against so many decks where you don't have to get to a lethal count of 10 for your tendrils because they have, you know, they've done some damage. They fetched a couple times, they Thoughtseized you, they probed, you know, cycling Street Wraith, less common in this format, but there are a lot of ways in Magic where you can effectively trade life, you know, for some type of benefit, and usually anytime that you can do that, it's worth doing. But in particular, Death and Taxes shows, you know, what happens when you just play a bit more of a fair game and don't have any type of damage. Matt actually checking out the different smoothness here. He's got an older playmat from another company. Checking out my new mat. Proves of the new leather. There's a Bantu's Last Reckoning. That card not keepable in that hand. Bantu's Last Reckoning was so bad. Massacre, a card that I've generally been pretty happy with. I am leaning toward trying to build a sideboard to be more filled with cards that can be played no matter what. I think a card like Hurkyl's Recall may just be better than Echoing Truth. Just given that there are hands where you could potentially fire either one of them off to go Hellbent. But if you don't have a permanent for Echoing Truth, it's pretty bad. Maybe a bit of a corner case, but they do happen. So Matt here opening up with Aether Vial and just fireworks on the other side of the table here. Lotus Petal, LED, Dark Ritual. This is probably looking very, very bad. Infernal Crack. So there's a Dark Ritual in the graveyard. And 4 black mana floating after the LED. So Past in Flames would leave 2, which would not be enough to rebuild. So we're going to go ahead and just grab the Ad Nauseam and start flipping. Tendrils already in hand. Oof. Wow. That is quite bad. So Storm 5, taking a lot of damage there. We've got a Cabal Ritual. This is going to be fine. So we've got Lotus Petal. We're going to have Threshold. Nobody panic. Storm 5, 6, 7. Going to be 8 with the Cabal Ritual, and then we'd actually need to spin around the block one more time there. So what would need to happen is the Infernal Tutor would then go get the Past in Flames and then replay the whole graveyard, because we couldn't actually play the Tendrils for lethal that turn with that hand. But that was, again, a lot of damage off Ad Nauseam. There was okay. I was able to actually deal lethal, or Matt scooped before the lethal. But still a lot of damage coming in there. It is a card that sometimes people board out in games 2 and 3 just because of the higher converted mana cost the deck often incurs post-sideboard. A lot of the time you're taking out your 1 casting cost discard spells versus a deck like Death and Taxes and bringing in more board-based answers, sometimes in the form of Echoing Truth and Hurkyl's Recall, both adding some extra mana to those costs. And Empty in hand. And Rest in Peace coming down here. Brainstorm during the end step. And you're going to have to contemplate how this Empty the Warrens is going to play out. Is it going to go back into the deck, or do we have enough mana where we're going to be able to go for an early Empty? Chain of Vapor. Potentially useful later. Looks like Empty going to the front of the hand. You're going to consider firing off a bunch of rituals into Empty. One, two, three, four. I mean, when you got all 4 rituals, why not Storm 4? 3, 5, 7, 9. 9 black mana. And Dark Petition here. Just, that is something special. Dark Petition fired off with no potential for value. That is just a 5 mana tutor, not getting 3 back. Rest in Peace means the Dark Petition is literally just worse than Diabolic Tutor here. But what do you get? Storm's already 5. Preferably something that you can cast here. Could be a Gataxian Probe. Could be an artifact, like a Lotus Petal. I think Probe's probably the best. Adds to Storm, and you could potentially chain Probes together, which would be nice. That would be like total Christmas Land, is just Probe. I mean, complete Christmas Land is Probe into Probe into Probe into Probe into Tendrils. Then you just end the game. So you might as well give yourself a chance to get the absolute nut draw. It could happen. There's a Probe. Jite, Flicker Wisp, and Aether Vial. Probe. Oh! Another Probe! It's happening! And there's the empty. So 16 Gobos. That is a lot of red men to overcome, even with a Jit. There's no body on board yet. So Flicker Wisp is going to take one of them down. And this Chain of Vapor likely just going to ruin the party. Got Fatal Push to get rid of the Flicker Wisp and a Chain of Vapor. And that's going to do it. Goblins taking down, going a little bit more aggro than Death and Taxes can handle. That's all for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please help grow the channel by subscribing. You'll be notified when we upload new videos like Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic with commentary, or Untapped, our raw tournament gameplay. Thanks for watching.